Greetings and salutations again. I'm back with another movie review. This time I have Gleaming the Cube for my retro review from the late 1980s. I believe this was 1989. It's a skateboarding film in a way, starring Christian Slater. Some of the reasons why I chose to check this out again after several decades is because while it does have a small cult following, likely either from Christian Slater fans or people who are into skateboarding or are currently into skateboarding. It's another one that I don't really hear much about. So, and of course, when it first came out, I was kind of a fan of both of those groups. I skated a bit growing up, was a big fan of Legend of Billie Jean when that came out on cable. And of course, Christian Slater, was in that and he was really starting to pop. He was doing several movies a year back then. Heathers came out around this time, as well as a few others just within that same year, just one after another. It was just a real rising star at the time. It was a very busy year for him. So I think the reason why this came to mind recently was that I saw an interview with Tony Hawk on this GQ Sports YouTube channel. And he was breaking down some of the, different skating scenes in movies that he worked on or movies that, he'd seen, and he brought up Gleaming the Cube. And, I'll put a link to that in the description. It was actually a pretty interesting little interview with him, and I'll cue it up to the points where he was talking specifically about Gleaming the Cube. But anyways, this brought up memories of the film, and I decided to see if there's a way I could find it available anywhere and, find out what happened to it, if anybody even remembers this movie. Well, like I said, it still does have a bit of a following, but I did track down a copy that was a bit difficult to get my hands on. And as of the time of this video, it's also available on YouTube, but the video quality is extremely poor. I think it's like 240p. It's just really low resolution, so, watch at your own risk. Anyways, here I am. I haven't even said what the film is about yet or who's in it, except just to say that Christian Slater's in it and there's some skateboarding and has skaters in it. But it really isn't a skateboarding film. A quick synopsis I dug up simply describes it as: a young avid skateboarder uncovers a government conspiracy while investigating his adoptive brother's mysterious death. So, it is much more of a drama and a mystery than anything else. This mystery and drama, just happens to have some skateboarding in it, as Christian Slater's character skates as a hobby and as a way for him to kind of unwind, and relax a bit if he has any stress going on. But they do a really good job of mixing those themes together, to really stick to what the movie's about, which is, about his brother having passed away, and it's ruled as a suicide. But working in the skating where it doesn't feel like it's just tacked on. It's just one of the things that the character is into. So, with that mix, they do a good job of also bringing in a little bit of comedy here and there, mainly from Christian Slater's character and a bit from his, skater friends and everything. So as for the rest of the story, the mystery side of it unfolds in a really nice way where Christian Slater's character doesn't believe that his, brother has died by suicide. He had too much going for him. He's very smart. He was doing well at his part-time job and everything. So he decides to investigate it and very quickly starts to uncover that something else was going on. It doesn't take too long beating around the bush on it. And, it reveals these interesting findings, and basically he gets caught up to a point where he has to go to the police officer who had initially found his brother's body and try to get him on board with this, saying, look, something isn't right here. So I really like that the story comes across as much more realistic in that instead of the main character just keeping all this to himself and somehow this skateboarder just master investigator and he's able to figure everything out. I like the fact that he's caught up in something that he recognizes easily he's over his head on and reaches out for help. Along the way in the story, relationships that he has with his brother's girlfriend, with his skater friends and his parents, particularly his father, and the cop who's helping him along the way really tighten up this story, makes it feel a lot more realistic. As for the skating, as I mentioned, it isn't really a skating movie, so going into this with memories of a movie like Thrashin', for instance, which came out a few years earlier, and thinking it'll be along those lines, you'll be sorely disappointed. But the skating scenes that are in this are great. They're really done well. They're short, but great. Some really fun stuff there. And also, as I mentioned, not only is Tony Hawk in it, but it has several other, popular skaters at the time as well. And Tony Hawk's character actually has lines, so it's interesting to see him come into it as part of this group of skaters, and then to also, if you were into skating at the time, either recognizing the faces or as the credits come up, recognizing the names of all of these really famous skaters that came in to play these roles and kind of consult on the skating and the stunts within the movie. So, you know, seeing as I was into skating around the time that this came out, seeing so many famous skaters on the screen was really nice. And I mean, it has other cool stuff. He's got this metal skateboard at one point in it, which is highly impractical, but just looks really cool. And Tony Hawk even plays chicken with a Pizza Hut truck, for crying out loud. I mean, it's worth checking out just for that weird stuff thrown in there. But if there's anything I would knock about this film, it would be that it does have a bit of a slowdown as it's starting to get towards that ending. You know, it's starting to kind of approach that, and it slows down a little bit. And then once it gets to that ending, the climax wraps up really quickly. You know, just you're going into that climax and boom, it's over, and everything's wrapped up fine, but it just felt a little bit quick. So I think, as I've mentioned with other movies, sometimes maybe a re-edit could help it. This movie wasn't too long. It was about an hour and 45 minutes, but they probably could have trimmed off about 10 minutes and, you know, sped up things a little bit differently, made that ending not feel like that's where everything was cut, you know, cut a little bit more. I don't know. I mean, what do I really know about editing? All I do is edit videos of me sitting here talking about movies in my bedroom. Anyways, so my rating for this, I would give it a C, you know, a mid-range one for those interested in Christian Slater movies or skateboarding, maybe a C- for those who just want to check out an old 80s film and see how it is. So nice mid-range, worth checking out if you can find a copy of it. And yeah, that's about all I have for this one. So as usual, be sure to do the like and subscribe, share these videos, and I'll continue making them. Hopefully I'll have a couple more up along the way, and see you in the next video.